everyone, and welcome back to this episode of the Cornish Stitcher. My name is Ness, and I'm coming to you from the southwest corner of England, in Cornwall. I live in a small market town, about 16 miles into the county, about 7 miles from the coast. So yeah, we have the moors on our doorstep and the coast on our doorstep, so it's lovely. Welcome if you're new here, and welcome if you're a returning viewer. I know I have some new viewers that have popped over from recommendations in Vlogmas. So if you mentioned my podcast on any of your channels, thank you so much. It's still quite humbling for me, and I kind of go, oh, that's me they're talking about. So huge, massive thanks to anyone that has mentioned me. I really do genuinely appreciate it. So yeah, life update. Apologies for not being here sooner. We've had quite a tumultuous end of December into January, and it kind of explains why Vlogmas ended quite abruptly as it did. I had been struggling with a cold all the way through December, and then just before Christmas, it hit me quite rapidly and quite significantly for a really good couple of days, which knocked me off. And then Ika, our brown Labrador, which I'll pop up here, he became quite unwell with what appeared to be, first of all, just a droopy eye. He we took him to the vets, and the vets kind of went, oh, we're not really quite sure. We'll treat it for this particular Horner syndrome, I think it's called, and off you went. Anyway, it didn't really get much better over Christmas. We had peaks and troughs of his eye. And then in the January, just at the start of January, they said, oh, we think it's neurological. We need to refer you to a specialist vet. Being in Cornwall, specialist vets are never going to be very close by. So they said, oh no, we have to refer you to a specialist vet in Taunton, which is in Somerset, which are 2 counties away. About an hour and a half's drive. About an hour and a half's drive. And they are super duper specialists with neurologists and rheumatologists and every kind of ologist you could think of that a dog might need. So pootled on up there with him. They took one look at him and went, no, we don't think it's neurological. Where's he from? And well, he was a rescue dog from Spain. So it turns out he has a Spanish, they did lots and lots of very expensive tests. And it turns out that he has a Spanish-born disease called leishmaniasis, which I had heard of because we'd adopted Spanish dogs. But they're screened for it before they leave. His had obviously lain dormant, and so now he's on quite an expensive regime of medication for the next 6 months. In himself, now, you wouldn't know at all. I kind of half joke. He went in for a droopy eye and came out with a lifetime illness, but yes, so we thank absolute goodness that he was insured. So we are covered financially, but it's just a massive kind of thing. He's had to go to Taunton twice, once for a big kind of treatment session and sedation and all sorts. So yeah, big expense just after Christmas. That's what you need. Followed by I took Ika up on the kind of 6th or 7th of January, and then I came down with, it must have been the cold had not really recovered, and I came down with absolute raging tonsillitis. Probably so returning viewers will know that I suffer from a condition called fibromyalgia, just been diagnosed in the last 12 months. But to me, that's a condition rather than an illness, and something I have to manage and learn to manage over the rest of my life. In terms of viruses, bacterial infections, etc., touch wood, I'm normally quite good and resilient. I think it probably comes from my teacher days. But I absolutely succumbed to this. So was knocked off my feet. So every time I tried to record a podcast, I couldn't speak. Every time I tried to record a podcast, I would have a coughing fit. So massive apologies that it's now the 6th of February before you've actually seen back from me. In amongst all of that, other life updates, Ethan did his mocks for his GCSEs. So in Britain you do, or in England and Wales, you do exams when you're 16. And that's the end of your first kind of formal end of that education. You decide to go to college and further study. And so he's just had his mock exams ready for the proper ones in May and June. I think it probably settled him in terms of worry, but has shocked him in terms of how much he has to revise. And then, because I was so poorly, I wasn't able to attend the Waltham Abbey yarn show, which I was absolutely gutted about. I really wanted to go. I'd bought tickets, I'd bought train tickets, we were all going. It was just, yeah. So I was quite devastated about not being able to go to Waltham Abbey, but did recover in time for this past weekend to be able to go to the Little Flock in Bristol, and had an amazing time. So if you're not aware, the Little Flock, and it's now called the Little Flock because they're going to have a big flock in May, and I'll come on to that. But Little Flock is essentially a very large knit and natter for 4 hours, one afternoon and Saturday, sort of once a quarter-ish, where everyone in the southwest who wants to go can go and attend. There's lots of chat, lots of cake, and it's run by John and Claire of Bird Street Yarns. So one of my favourite dyers, as returning viewers will already know. And so we were there, and it was an amazing afternoon. We had a wonderful time. I got to meet a couple of people who watched this podcast, so hi. And if you're new from that, also from Conversations, hi, welcome again. And yeah, I just had a lovely time. Our table was really nice size. It wasn't too big, it wasn't too small, it was lots of chatter. So yeah, I just will absolutely go to another one. And on from that, they're now hosting, John and Claire are organising a yarn show called The Big Flock, and it's to be held, I think, it's the 17th and 18th of May. I'll link all the details below, but it's to predominantly cover the southwest. So if you are anywhere within kind of a travelling distance of Bristol, absolutely, the tickets are on sale now. It looks like it's going to be fantastic. So yes, so being poorly has given me some time to do some crafting. In other ways, I was just too unwell to even pick up the needles and the hooks occasionally throughout the time. I just felt too poorly. But yes, so if you watched Vlogmases, you will know that I had this is my first finished object. You will know that I took part in, or I had the Green Lambkin Yarn Advent to the Enchanted Forest, and I was working on one solid granny square of colour each day from my 10 minis, and one cream solid granny square each day to make a Battenberg blanket. It was always only going to be a lap blanket, but so I finished it. So I'll try and put a picture up here, but also I've got it here. So these were the first kind of reason, and it goes up in a wonderful fade, and I just totally and utterly love it. These pinks, when I got to these and they were on Christmas Eve and preceding days, I was ecstatic. This one, so I had it on the 10 gram 4-ply minis, and now I had them on the sparkle base, so it's got a lovely stellina all the way through it, and it's made a lap blanket, which is perfect in here in the studio because I can pop it on my lap. It allows me to still do sewing, it allows me to still be sitting at my desk, it allows me to not be kind of lumbering huge bits of fabric throughout the small studio, but does keep me warm. So it's brilliant. And I held it double for the squares. I held each 10 gram mini double, and then I used this, which was Drops Charisma in cream, I think, to hold it. And then I joined as I went, and then I did one triple crochet border all the way around, one stream all the way around, and I love it. It's really warm, really warm. Yeah, I'm not sure I can say this. I finished it just after Christmas, before January, so I was very happy. My plan was to try and finish it just before January, and I managed it, so I was really pleased. Yeah, I'm hoping, I'm waiting now for all the advents to be released so I can choose one. You will also have seen my advent calendar if you were watching Vlogmas from my wonderful friend Jen. We swapped advent mood boards sort of partway through the year last year and made each other advents from it. We've done the same this year, but we've already exchanged. So I have given her, I will pop it up here, a mood board of colours. Now, she often jokes that I am very much a cottagecore soul, which is very true. You know, I dream of nothing more than, and any of my American viewers, I am insanely jealous if you have this. I dream nothing more of a veranda where I can sit and craft on a front porch, as they would call in America. And I dream nothing more of a house than with a veranda / front porch where I can sit and craft. And so my mood board, I have made in the shapes of mushrooms, because Jen often quite jokes about my love of all things autumn and fungi. So I've sent her the colours in the form of mushrooms, because I found this particular picture and I just thought, wow, it epitomises everything. That is me. But it is a riot of colour compared to my normal love of pastels. So I have deviated from my normal kind of pastel muted shades, and pink. Everything tends to be pink. So I've deviated from that, and Jen had given me 3 or 4 options, I think, and hers is going to be made up of blue. Everything I can think of that could be blue. So that's a really, really exciting one. And let my imagination run wild with variegated and solids and tonals, and I'm very excited. So that will be one of my focuses when I visit yarn shows this year, is to utilize them to get lots of variation in minis for said advent calendar. So yes, my next finished object was, I had purchased some walking primrose yarn from James Makes Yarn. He's one of my favorite dyers. He's just such a lovely person. Just love James to pieces. And so I had bought this, which is a walking primrose colorway, and he had dyed it in kind of tribute to his favorite band of Girls Aloud, and particularly for Sarah Harding, who tragically died of breast cancer a few years ago. And 10% of his profits from this yarn were going to go to her charity. So I desperately needed a hat to go and walk the dogs, so I'm going to try and put it on, but it's not going to work particularly well, I don't think. But I absolutely love it. So I have worn this whenever I've been out, particularly to keep my ears warm. I made a pom-pom out of the same yarn, and I've managed to get 1 square of my sweet shop out as well from 100 grams of yarn. So I absolutely, you can wear it kind of down without the brim turned up, or with the brim turned up. I actually quite like it with the brim turned up. I love it. I love the colours. I love all the speckles of colour in it. This is the DK weight version. It's just one of my favourite yarns ever. Totally. And I just love it. James, you're very talented. And then my other finished object was, so my blanket, my hat, and then when I went to Stitch Fest in Newton Abbot in Devon in November, I purchased some of Bird Street Yarns colourway of Christmas at Ken's. So they had Christmas at Barbie's, Christmas at Ken's, and I loved this Christmas at Ken's. I'm just trying to look for the whole, bear with me. And so I also need, whenever I'm walking the dogs, I need to have my fingers quite flexible and available. So I love to wear mitts. So I just cast on, what was it? I think 60 stitches. Yeah, 60 stitches, I think, in the round. And then I have, you can see it's sparkly as well, but I'll just take it off. It's got a stellina in it as well. I'm not sure you can see if it's picking it up. Let me put this light on and see. There we go. Yeah, so it's picking up the stellina in it now. And so I just started off with a simple 1x1 rib at the bottom. Did that for 8 rows, knitted in the round. Actually, no, I knitted flat, sorry. I knitted flat. So I did stocking stitch, knit purl, knit purl, knit purl, till I got to the top, then did another 8 rows, and then just sewed up the seam, to make my thumb hole, leaving the gap for my thumb. And again, I've worn these whenever I've gone out. They are super warm. And I've still got quite a lot of yarn left. I held it double. It's 4-ply and I held it double too, which is quite often what I'll do. I'll buy a skein of 4-ply because it gives me the option to do 4-ply held singly or hold it double and get DK weight. I just think it gives me a little bit more flexibility. So I held these double. I absolutely love the way it's turned out. I love the speckles. I love just, oh, yeah, amazing. See why these and this and then Lay Family yarn are my absolute favourite dyes. Just adore them. So, yeah, so these have come in useful as well. It's been quite chilly. It was really chilly this morning. Quite a big frost for Cornwall. So yeah, they've been nice in here. It means as well I can do things in here because if I've got them on and I've got my fingers free, I can still sew. So it's been really, really good. I'm really pleased with them. Yeah, so I think that's it for my finished objects. I have got some whips. So I was really struggling when I was poorly to follow patterns, etc., because I just didn't have the brain power or the mental capacity to do it when I was such brain fog as well. Fibromyalgia and a cold meant epic brain fog. But I did have this that I had purchased a while ago from So Sweet Violet, which sadly have now closed their doors for new pastures, new and new ventures. But I had purchased this pattern a while ago for English paper piecing and had all the components and had lots and lots of scrap fabric. So I thought, oh, well, I'll try and do that. So this is my top half that I've done. I've taken the papers out just yesterday. So this will be my top half. And there's a mixture in here of fabrics from my stash, some Liberty scraps, some other scraps I'm not sure where they're from. They've been in there a long time. A William Morris one, which I love, and popped him right in the centre of my hot water bottle cover. So that's going to be the front. And then I purchased this from, we're really lucky. We have Cowslip Workshops, which I'll link below, are a local haberdashery and patchwork suppliers, but owned by Jo Colwill, who is very famous for her patchworky books, and we're lucky that it's only just over half an hour away from us. So I went up there and I bought some of this to make for the back, which I love. So I've tried to keep it quite tonal with reds and pinks. It looks more red on there, but yes. And then while I was there, I treated myself to some more of a charm pack by French General, and I'm not sure what I'm going to make with those. I just love them. They are very much my kind of aesthetic. Really traditional kind of beautiful colours. I'm thinking of maybe making a couple of cushions for in here and the lounge. So possibly English paper piecing, possibly machine patchworked. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I loved them. I wasn't going to let those go. They were brilliant. So they were from Cowslip. My main whip is this. So you may remember I was doing I'd cast on the Harvest cardigan by Tin Can Knits. It's my first proper in the round garment. I've always knitted seamed garments before, so this is my first proper garment, and I am now steaming ahead. So I only want it to about my waist. I want it about cropped length, so not a huge amount more to go on. And I'm happy because it's a cardigan. It's not knitted in the round. I have got it on a cabled needle, but I'm not knitted in the round because I have to go forwards and backwards in knit and purl to get the stocking stitch. But this is a free pattern by Tin Can Knits on their app. But the button band and all around the bottom is all garter stitch, and this is a 3-inch wide border that you kind of carry on at the bottom. So I'm not that far off. I think I've got about 3 inches of stocking stitch to do, and then I'm onto the border at the bottom. So, and then the sleeves. Now, what I really, really, really want is to be able to wear this to the East Anglian Yarn Festival in March. We're going again, and we are travelling up. We're going to the Stitch Night on the Friday, which I've never done, and I'm really excited about going to that. And then we're going to the show on the Saturday. And my absolute wish is to be able to wear this cardigan to both events. So I have to crack on, which means that every other whip that I want to do is currently sat on the sidelines, even the sweet shop blanket. So I have done this yarn was from Stash. So when I was in Scotland on holiday, you'll know if you're a regular viewer that we go to Scotland normally, well, at least once a year. This year I think it's probably just once a year. I went to a wonderful knitting shop in Dunoon called Ginty and Bar, and I had run out of the project. So essentially I finished the project that I was doing whilst I was on holiday, and I bought some small amount of yarn for another project, and then I bought enough for a sweater's quantity of this because I loved it. It is Stylecraft and it is acrylic, and I'm moving, not because I'm a yarn snob at all, just because I am very eco-conscious, and as a household we try and be really, really sustainable and eco-conscious in most of the things that we do, and so acrylic yarn doesn't really fit with that for me anymore. However, I do have quite a lot of acrylic yarn still in stash, and if there are sweater quantities of such, then I'm not going to throw them away, because I paid good money for them, and therefore you know, it has its place. And so this is Stylecraft Heathers in Wild Salmon, but I just love the flecks of colour as it's knitting up. There are weird flecks of yellow all the way through it, so I'm not just going to pick it up, but I really, 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 really like it. So I'm glad that I'm making it in that. It's good that it's my first kind of attempt at an in the round garment, kind of in the round but top down non-seamed garment, because I think if I was doing it in hand-dyed yarn, I think it would be such a super precious project that I would almost be too scared to work on it. So my plan is to do that, and then I've got some other patterns because I've read that splitting for the sleeves isn't that scary. So I've got sweater quantities of hand-dyed now, and my plan is this year I'll come on to plans in a minute, but my plan this year is to not spend as much on yarn at yarn festivals. I find yarn festivals, I had this conversation with a couple of people and I couldn't quite articulate it, but Ali on Little Drops of Wonderful, she articulated it wonderfully. Socially I'm quite, I think I come across quite confident, and really I'm not. Inwardly I'm absolutely dying on the spot. I'm an extremely, extremely insecure person about myself, and as a result I think I probably overtalk in public. I rabble on and on and on and on to try and compensate for that, but then totally and utterly spend the whole of the time after I've left whatever event it is second guessing whether what people think. And quite often social events will absolutely suck my life out of me because I have to put so much energy in, and essentially I become exhausted and almost reach a burnout stage after them. However, not at yarn events, and I can't quite figure it out. I think it must be because it just fills me with so much joy. People at yarn events are, in my head, typically quite safe people. I feel buoyed up, I feel rejuvenated, I come away from them really kind of enthusiastic about what I can do, and not really second guessing what people think and what people say, and not worried and not totally kind of second guessing every single part of the thing that I've been to. So they are rejuvenating for me, and so I'm still going to go and attend lots of yarn festivals and events this year, but I may not purchase quite as much. Saying that, you and I both know you walk through the doors of a yarn show and your budget half the time goes out the window when you see these beautiful colours. I remember last year, and if you remember my Malibu Barbie moonlit shawl. So again, in James's yarn, I'll pop a picture up here. And this picture actually is a photograph taken at Flock by John. I hate my photograph taken, particularly at the moment. I'm feeling really self-conscious. I have gone back to Slimming World with a determination that it's all coming back off again. I did it before, I can do it again. Turns out mental health crises and losing weight don't always go hand in hand, especially when you're an emotional eater. So mental health recovery firmly in progress. So physical health firmly in progress. That's where that's going. But this photograph that I'm about to put up for that John took on Saturday at Flock, I actually think shows off the scarf really well. So I'll show that, but I don't like the picture of myself because I don't like any picture of myself. I love what John has done. John is an amazing photographer, and probably at the moment that's probably the only photograph I would ever post of myself, because the self-loathing is very real, let's put it that way. And my final finished object is another square for my sweet shop, and it's using the yarn. It's just some of the yarn left over from my hat. Love it. And as I say, I was up to date on my sweet shop, but I think I'm about one square behind now because I need to finish my cardigan, and that's fine. I will just keep going from then, and I'll just catch up. It's not a problem. Acquisitions. Right. So here's me saying I'm not buying any yarn, and then I say acquisitions. So I was unable to resist. If you watch Tales from Cuckoo Land, or you watch Lay Family Yarn, or follow either of them on Instagram, you will not be able to, you will all know, about Gaynor from Tales from Cuckoo Land's recent foray up to Lay Family Yarn, where she dyed her companion skein called Spuddle. So last year she dyed her skein of yarn called Herkle Durkle, which I have a skein of and I love, but haven't used. And she then dyed some Spuddle. I really, really want to make the Even Dune sweater by Kate Davis. I'll put it up here. And I was going to make it in a similar colourways to what she's done. However, I think I've changed my mind completely. I'm going to make this sweater, but I'm going to use Herkle Durkle, Spuddle, another pink from my stash, possibly hand dyed by myself because I have got some pink natural dyes, and some natural undyed but with stellina from the Chester Wool company that I got last year at Wonderwool. So I think it will look amazing. A whole gradient of pink. And my plan is to do that. So that is the plan after I finished this cardigan. When I finish the Harvest cardigan, my plan is to cast on the Even Dune sweater as another big project, I suppose. And I just love it. Yeah, it's just amazing. And then I've got New Year plans. So I this year have firmly got to get down some of my stash, but also I want to make some particular things. So I have made myself an accountability chart, which I'm going to put up here on this wall. Although this room is mainly a workspace for me for sewing my bags and business things for the Cornish Stitcher, it equally will hold me accountable when I start to go off on tangents. So I've already achieved 3 things from the start of 2025. So I've made my hat, I've made my mittens, and I finished my blanket. The rest of the things on here I'll talk to you about. I want to make the Harvest cardigan, obviously finish this. I want to use my Advent from that Jem bought me and over this last Christmas, and I want to make something like a shawl or a scarf or something. They're all 10 gram minis. I've got 24 of them, and there are many Advent projects out there. I think that will be a crochet project partly because of speed, and I love it. I want to make a colour work item. Now I also want to make a cowl, and it might be that the cowl and the colour work item are together. I recently bought the Doodle Knit directory think that's what it's called. Yeah, the Doodle Knit Directory, and it's got amazing colour work in there, so I'm thinking I'm going to design my own cowl using that. I want to make at least one pair of socks. I've got some socks on the go, so that should be fine. After I made these, Matt, my husband, has said, please can I have some wrist warmers? A few years ago at Stitch Fest, I purchased him some wrist warmers from a lady who made them out of recycled jumpers. So she wasn't knitting them, she was stitching them, lots of different fabrics together, but they really suited kind of, again, our sustainability kind of ethos in the family. But they have been done to death. He wears them every single day from sort of September through to March, May, and they are falling to pieces. So he's asked me if I can knit him some, so that will be on my list as well. The Even Dune sweater, which is the one from Kate Davies. I need to finish Monty's blanket, which is made out of all my acrylic scraps. I really want to make the Nadia shawl and the Padstow cardigan, which are both Victoria Marchant patterns, which sadly she's also closed her shop recently, but I have both the patterns, so my plan is to make those at some point, and to finish my Sweet Shop blanket. And when I read it out like that, it doesn't sound an awful lot, but then when I look at it and I think, oh my life, that's an awful lot of things to make. But maybe some of these could be actually... The shawl is crochet, so that shouldn't take me too long. The Harvest cardigan's nearly halfway, well, over halfway. Yeah, I think we can do it. I don't think it's an unrealistic target. So, as I say, I'm going to pop it up here. And I'm going to tick it off. And when I've done them, I'm circling them, you can see. I'm circling them and ticking them. So, this is my plan. You need to hold me accountable as well as this list hold me accountable. Because I'll go off. And I'll go to yarn shows. And I will see patterns. And I'll be like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Or I'll buy new colours for the same projects that I've already got at home. Colours planned. I know I'm talking to the masses who understand me, but oh my goodness me. So I had all these good ideas. I bought this at the end of Christmas with the grand plan that I was going to do a year-long sampler like this and stitch one thing a day, and then I came down with tonsillitis and it went out the window. So I'm going to use it to plan for next year. That's my 2026 project. So yes, now I'm better. I'm going to do some back to work things. So looking out for some new bags, definitely more along the lines of this. So I'm definitely taking my bag making more along the printed, self-printed way, and there will be less in the way of kind of pre-printed fabrics and lots of nest printed fabrics. So keep an eye out for that. I'm also looking at making some greetings cards, which I'll also try and make some early next week and pop those in the website. Yeah, it's all a bit exciting. So I'm going to go now edit this and try and pop it up today so that it's all ready for your viewing. If you like what you've watched, if you've managed it this far, then please hit like and subscribe, share away. And yeah, it all helps kind of the visibility of the channel. So yeah, I missed podcasting, I really did. So yeah, my plan is to do at least one a month, and maybe some vlogs. I'm thinking I might do weekly vlogs or every 2 or 3 days, rather than try and put the pressure on myself to vlog every day, because I think it's quite boring sometimes, especially if I'm in here. You do not want to watch endless footage of me sewing. So maybe weekly vlogs through March or April. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. And maybe for February half term next week I might do a vlog, because we're staying at home for most of it. We're just away one night, but it might be nice to see parts of Cornwall that you've not seen before. Yeah, I'll think about it. Anyway, okay, take care of yourselves and everybody else, and I will see you soon. Okay, take care. Bye.